If you were to ask us which phone out of the Note 4 or Blackberry Classic would get our recommendation, then the answer is going to be the Note 4 every time. Blackberry is a company that has pretty much had its day. To survive, it will need to reinvent itself, and what the Classic does is the exact opposite of that. It's the old-fashioned Blackberry that's been updated to run the latest version of Blackberry OS. Of course, there are plenty of things to enjoy about the Blackberry. It's well made and feels solid. Sadly, it's also exceptionally hefty, so it's not a great device if you need something lightweight. The Note 4, on the other hand, has a weight to it, but it's not over the top, and you get a massive 5.7-inch screen to make it worthwhile. The screen on the Classic is just 3.5 inches and is square. You may well have a preference on the look and UI of the operating system too. Blackberry is familiar to many, and there will be those who really like it. Android on the Note has been customised by Samsung, and it's good and has a distinctive look. Even though it's not yet running Lollipop, the Note has been visually designed to make it conform to the new material design. A huge improvement, we have to say. In terms of extra features, the Blackberry has little to commend it beyond its security. Even so, the Note 4 has Samsung's Knox security software, which allows you to set up a sandbox for your work email and apps that's kept away from your personal stuff and has much greater security. This might be something of a copy of the Blackberry model, but it's proving popular with enterprise users. The good thing about Blackberry 10, which the Classic runs, is that it can run Android apps. A deal has been done with Amazon, which allows you to download both free and paid-for programs from its store. The problem is, many of them don't work brilliantly. The Classic has an unusual screen ratio, which means that some apps don't run their best on it. It's a good way of beefing up app support, but it needs developers to make their apps work on the screens of Blackberry devices. The big plus point for the Blackberry, though, has to be that physical keyboard. By and large, the company has managed to keep it working as it should. It hasn't meddled with a tried and tested format. There are no longer Android phones with physical keyboards, so if you need this feature, then the Blackberry is the only choice. Another issue for the Classic, though, is that it's quite badly underpowered. It's running a chipset from 2012, while the Note 4 has a bang-up-to-date Snapdragon 805. Storage on the Blackberry is 16 gigs on board, while the Note has 32. Both can take a microSD card up to 128 gigabytes, which gives you loads of storage for music and photos you might want to keep on the device. The good news is that the 8-megapixel camera on the Blackberry Classic is pretty good, and solid images are possible with it. You can also shoot video at 1080p. The Note 4, on the other hand, has some of the best experience with photography you can have on a smartphone, and it can shoot video at up to 4K, which obviously blows the Blackberry out of the water. These are, of course, two entirely different devices. The problem for Blackberry is that as Android becomes more acceptable for business use, and Samsung is pushing forward with Knox and other features like the fingerprint scanner, there are few good reasons to opt for a Blackberry. The Classic isn't a bad phone, but head-to-head against the Note 4, it quite simply loses every time, unless you absolutely must have the physical keyboard. If that's the case, then enjoy the Blackberry because it's one of the few devices that can offer that feature, and it remains a usable piece of equipment.